Hello. Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope everybody is having a great start to the week. We're going to be talking Last Resort, episode 13. We're 13 episodes in, and we lost 2 cast members today. So that happened. We're going to get Gina in. We're going to discuss, what's her name? Ari and Benny left. Hey, Shake. Hey, Diva Speaks. And, oh, she's already here. Hey, Danny. Hey, Yoga be good. Interesting name. So, how are you?
Oh, hi. Sorry, everybody. I'm the reason why we're late. I was at the gym and I only got George's message when the show had ended. So luckily I was at my gym set by then.
Oh, it's fine. It was short notice, so
It's all good.
I
It's all
messaged you like when the show was over. So.
Exactly. And
It's
that's when I saw it. And I'm like, oh, perfect. I got to go anyways, but I got to get dinner first. So
It was very short notice. Hey, Diva Speaks. Hey, Carmen. Hi, Significant Equal. Hi, Susie. So we're gonna get into episode 13. So 2 people left. So I don't know if we want to start there with Ari and Benny. They ended up leaving. They finally came clean and said that they weren't actually going to. When is the tell-all? Well, there's 17 episodes.
yeah.
So we just watched 13. So 14, 15, 16, 17. We're looking at a month and a week before we get into the tell-all. Hey, Joda. So it's gonna be a while.
Yeah, I heard the tell-all is 3 parts. And knowing our like
It's gonna be good. I've actually found out from some sources that the tell-all is gonna be better than all of the footage they got all season.
Well, yeah,
because
that's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, Gino is finally gonna be able to speak about Jasmine and her behavior, and Matt will be present at the tell-all. So it's very messy. It's gonna be very messy, and there's some weird rumor going around. I wanted to talk to you about this. That Stacy and Florian aren't together anymore, and I wanted to get your opinion on that because I never believe rumors when it comes to Darcy and Stacy because they're really good at pretending to break up, fight. Remember one of the last season of Darcy and Stacy, they pretended they hated each other and they stopped talking to each other. Do you remember that? Like they got into a fight, and then they stopped talking to each other, but they're actually fine. So do you think, Stacy unfollowed Florian and Florian unfollowed Stacy. So do you think there's any truth to this, or you think they're just trying to get another show?
I think they're just trying to get another show because everybody knows how both of their minds work. They're very smart, intelligent women. They know what they're doing, right? So they want the people's imagination to just go with it. Like, oh God, like they want to be in the scene still. So, oh, they stop following each other, right? So then that's when people jump to the conclusion like, oh, they can't be together. But no one's come out and said, yeah, we're separated or we're not together anymore.
Well,
but look how many posts are out there about it, speculations and whatnot. So people's mouth, like their names are still in people's mouths and posts are still being posted about them.
Well, I will say this. The last few times that Florian went live, he went live with the 90 Bad Boys, and one time he went live with Kim and Josh. Every time they ask, how's Stacy, where's Stacy, he always replies, I don't know where she is. Which I think he's playing along with this narrative. Well, Shake says we don't care about them. I mean, I agree. We don't. We're kind of being forced against our will into this, right? Like we're watching The Last Resort because we've watched all the shows. It would be weird for me to skip a show at this point. I've been watching it for over 10 years. I would feel weird not watching it. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm enjoying this season. Wait, I heard that Brandon and Julie are still together. They are. If you actually follow their Instagram, they've been traveling and doing a lot of really cool stuff. Like they remind me of James and Tata. Like they're traveling, they're living their best life. So yeah, Julia and Brandon, I don't think their relationship was ever in jeopardy. I think that they played it up for the cameras, and I don't know how much of it was real, how much of it wasn't. Also, we learned tonight that Julia did the paperwork to bring her parents here without talking to Brandon first. So
I want to get money coming from. Well, what money?
This is what I was going to ask you. So do you think, this is alleged, do you think that she signed Brandon's names with? Because Julia doesn't work. So she would have to have somebody with an income attached to that petition. Do you think that she went behind his back and signed his name to the paperwork and didn't tell him?
Well, she'd probably get arrested for that because it would be considered fraud,
He'd
right?
have to report it, though. I don't think that he would report her, right?
Well, if she claims it on national TV, then there it is. Like,
well, she said that she already has an interview date. She already has a date. It's already in process.
I think
and
maybe she got one of her friends in the States to do it, or somebody else, maybe in the 90-day world, maybe to co-sign for her that she's close to. Like Sophie, Sophie's a good grifter, you know. Maybe their voices collided together, and you know, done.
Well, Joda says she took Tiger Lily's handwriting signature course. So she's a handwriting expert. So now she was able to recreate Brandon's signature. But I don't know how legit this storyline is because Julia doesn't have a job. But how does that work? So say for instance you come over to the US and you're here on your visa. Can you how does it work when you're bringing your family over here? They still need to be sponsored by an American, right? Or are you the sponsor? I never understood how that worked.
Like I know here, like you'll have to get, like when my parents my dad immigrated first in the 70s to Canada, but then my uncle sponsored him. Right.
So somebody has, and it has to be a citizen that sponsors you, right? It can't be a person that is still working on getting citizenship, right?
Exactly. I think my uncle had his citizenship, but the laws since the 70s till now have changed since then. So I think my uncle was either already a citizen or in the midst of becoming a citizen. But my parents didn't. They're Portuguese citizens until they turned 65. They weren't Canadian citizens yet. They weren't considered Canadian. Oh. They were just landed immigrants because they had to do a test that no one wants to do tests, like on Canadian history, to get your citizenship.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like a difficult test. You know, the U.S. citizenship test is like second grade knowledge.
Yeah.
It's like really easy.
So
so Judy says it's fake. It's for a visa visit, not for them to move here. So, I mean, she didn't specifically say it was for them. She just said, I want to bring them here. She wasn't specific. So that could be true. She could have a visa application interview for a tourist visa, but still.
It makes sense because, like, they can come, like, at least for Canadians, they can go to America and stay there for 6 months out of the whole year. Right.
She would still need to talk to Brandon though, because where would they stay? Right. Because that was my thing. I was like, I get it. It's her parents. She's a grown adult woman. She can do what she wants. But if you're bringing your parents to move in your house with your husband, I feel like, because we've been watching this and there's a lot of marriage issues with people. And I think the real issue with most of these couples is there's poor communication and people are doing things behind other people's back. Wait, are the Betty and Rumor swinger? Betty and Ron Rumor swinger? No, that's not a rumor.
Yeah,
Betty and
that's true.
That they discussed it on the show. Betty and Ron are swingers. They brought it up.
Pineapples upside down on cruise ships, probably.
Yeah. This is no rumor. They brought it up on the show. They didn't really hide it. They don't really advertise it. You know, They don't talk about it online or anything. But yeah, there's no rumor. Betty and Ron are swingers. They do swap partners with other people, which a lot of people were shocked because they seem really clean cut and they seem like really old fashioned. And, you know, Brandon is like super prude. So it's crazy to think that he came from swingers. But yeah, this is no secret.
Their parents were like hippies, right? So I would presume in the 70s, like Brandon's parents were hippies in the 70s, right? So not to point fingers, but it's like peace, love, and joy, right?
That is the time. The 70s is the time where everybody was living free.
Their best
right?
friends.
They were living very freely. Wait, the chat is all surprised. Where were y'all?
Yeah.
This isn't new. We've actually talked about this before, right, Gina? We've talked about this before.
Yeah, but when Brandon on the show,
when
like,
Brandon
how many
was first on the show and Julia wasn't here yet, I believe that's when they discussed it on the show.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Or when they were in the hot tub or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. It was a hot tub scene. I do remember that. It was a hot tub scene. Yeah, so yeah, this isn't new. They and his parents are calculating. They don't buy their story. I think Brandon is creepy. His parents are ick, and they get a paycheck for the show. So wait, do you think? So wait, she thinks it's all fake. No, I don't think it's fake. I don't think it's fake. Honestly, I don't.
No.
It's always the super
It's the
old school
ones that you least
Christians.
expect it to
Yeah.
be.
The ones that go to church every Sunday, they have family dinners that think, yeah, it's those are the people that are doing weird, freaky stuff. It's I don't think it's a lie. I think that they're definitely doing that.
No.
Like honestly, I wouldn't put it past them. That's true. And Jasmine had the baby already. No, Jasmine didn't have the baby yet. Well, there's a rumor. So there's a rumor that she had the baby already. We're under the impression the baby is due in June. So, but there was a video that she put out that I saw, and Gina, you probably saw it too, where she turned to the side and she didn't look pregnant. I mean, she looks pregnant, but not as pregnant as she looked in that announcement video. So I know what you guys are talking about, but unless she had the baby premature, she shouldn't have had the baby yet. So I'm not exactly sure why she's posted that video or if the video is recent, because Jasmine was doing a lot of videos, because if you notice, the whole time that we knew she was pregnant but she didn't announce it, she was posting videos where she was not pregnant. So everything isn't current that we see.
Yeah, it's probably an older video, like when she was 4 months pregnant, or 3 to 4 months pregnant, versus almost like, yeah, I think her, like, because it would make sense, like October would be June, right? If she got pregnant in October, the baby would be in June.
Yeah, and the tell-all was filmed
birthday.
in October. She was pregnant when they filmed the tell-all, so June at the latest. It could be April, May, but February is too soon. Yeah, February is too soon. We would have to worry that, if the baby is okay. The baby would have to go to NICU because being born that early, they wouldn't be able to breathe on their own.
No.
So I know that she went to the hospital. She didn't specify why she was in the hospital, but then she said she was relieved because after that hospital, hey Jal, after that hospital stay, now she's going to be able to breastfeed. Yeah. So I don't know what procedure or what was going on, but I think she got something cleared or whatever. Now she's going to be able to breastfeed because, there's certain conditions that
there's too much silicone everywhere.
Well, that doesn't really. You can still breastfeed with fake boobs, right? I'm pretty sure you can. Or can you?
I don't know.
Hold on, let's Google it. Because, that's a good question. And I need to stop assuming things, so we're gonna find out. We're gonna check, because you're right. If silicone leaks out, that can be deadly to your bloodstream. So it could
baby.
Okay, let's check this out.
So
I'm curious.
It depends.
Yeah.
Oh, you can. People are saying you can in the comments. If it's under the muscle.
Yeah. Most women with breast implants can still breastfeed, although the size and placement of the implants, as well as the surgical technique used, can affect how much milk they can produce. So there's no stipulation that they cannot do it, but depending on how big they went, they could produce less milk.
Okay.
And, if you got a hungry baby, you're not going to get anywhere with no milk, because babies eat like 7 times a day. So you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
No harm. Oh, and studies show no evidence that silicone from implants can pass into breast milk or harm the baby. The potential challenges for women are difficulties like reduced milk supply or more intense engorgement or discomfort due to nerve damage near the nipple area, depending on the surgery. So she's good there. I don't think she would get her breast implants removed. There's no reason to do that.
No. And I don't think she's going to breastfeed this baby, only maybe for 2 weeks. And then it's like, okay, you're on formula now. I need my boobs. I don't need
She's a vegan, and she's like a health freak. I would assume that she would breastfeed the baby till it was like 4 years old. Because she's super into health and stuff.
I don't know, to each their own, but I also don't, because she's getting up there in age and older. I'm old too, so I can, be Miss Judgy Pants. But like, she was just like, no, these are perky. I want them perky. I don't want to lose those. That's what she paid. Well, that's what Gino paid for. So.
Well, Gino paid for the boobs, and then Gino/Dane paid for the ass, which it was a group effort, right? It was a group effort one cheek belongs to one guy, the other cheek belongs to the other guy. This is a hot mess. And then Matt, who paid for nothing, is now reaping the benefits of all of these investments that these men have made in her body. Now Matt, who invested no money whatsoever, now gets to reap in the investment of Gino and Dane, which that doesn't seem fair. Right? Yeah, the upside down. So yeah, on Last Resort, Between the Sheets, we found out that they were put in upside down because she went to a cheap doctor, and the doctor inserted her ass implants, cheek implants, upside down, and that's why her butt is shaped, I guess, upside down, right? But you can look at it, you can tell that there's something wrong. That's why that's the issue. At least this baby she'll be able to have around her all the time. I mean,
well, I don't know. She could ship it off to Panama and be like, "Here, Mom, you don't have any more issues. Here you go. Take care of this baby. I can't do it."
I mean, I want to believe, hey, Coast to Coast teacher, hey, Pineapple. I want to believe that Jasmine is a great mom and she's going to take great care of this kid. But, you know, we were talking about this yesterday on the pod. It's like when mothers make really crazy decisions where, like, for instance, Mina from OG 90 Day decided since her son Clayton's passport didn't come in time, she was going to leave him. And, you know, I don't know a lot of mothers that make difficult decisions like that. I know most mothers will say, if my kids can't come, then I'm not going.
Mm-hmm.
So when Jasmine left her 2 kids, possibly 3, in Panama, and Gino has released information because, you know, they've been going back and forth. He said that she's had, for over a year, she's had the paperwork to travel. She's been allowed to go back to Panama at any moment, and she's never went back to even see them, right? I know that the paperwork can take time, but his point was, you didn't even go visit, you know, and that's questionable for me because she clearly makes a lot of money. Gina, remember we discussed how much she makes?
She was 8th in Cameo. She charges like $80 per cameo. She's got OnlyFans. Don't know how much that income bracket is. And she's been on every 90 Day Fiance. Like, I'm done. I am done with it. I am done. I am absolutely done with all these shenanigans. Like this Last Resort is like, it's like going to the dentist, getting a root canal and wisdom teeth pulled out, getting stitches, and breaking my collarbone.
And is it without Novocaine too? Because it's painful. I feel like it's very painful. Getting through this has been testing my patience. Right? I feel like,
God, it's like, oh, meet Dumb and Dumber. Like, what relationship is going to take a deep dive onto the Titanic today? Oh, it's going to be Ari's and Benny's. Let's go. Right? Like, we saw that coming.
So Shelly says, why does she do a baby registry with all that money? That's despicable. I agree with you. I don't understand why. And again, I know baby showers, regardless of how much money you have, it's more so about, you know, congregation with family and friends and celebration.
We ain't invited to no baby shower.
Well, no, yes, we're not invited. And there's over $5,000 worth of items on the registry, and she has so much money. She's making over $30,000 on a month on OnlyFans. She's making over $30,000 a month on Cameo, and you know, I don't understand why she feels like the public is responsible for so much. Like, I can understand you put a registry out there with just a few items, some core stuff. I get that, but the idea that they're supposed to get everything that the baby needs, that's a bit much. You know, I think a lot of times we watch these shows, we get attached to these people, but I think lately we've been getting taken advantage of, like with the GoFundMe's popping up here and there. Did you see that, Lauren?
Yeah, it's from GoFundMe's to freaking wish lists on Amazon. Like, go get your stuff from Wish or Temu, you dumb person. I'm not even going to say the baby because the baby is an innocent person.
Well, yeah, the baby did not ask to be born into this mess. The baby is an innocent party in this. Like, this baby hasn't even met Jasmine yet, like, officially. So when the baby meets Jasmine, the baby's probably gonna be like, really, God, this is what you put me into? You know, like, this is the cards that I got dealt. Oh, is she sending money back home to her kids? I'm gonna say yes. I don't have proof
say
of
yes
that
to, but
because
yeah.
I mean, even Larissa never went back for her kids, but she's made it very adamant that she's taking care of them. They're fully taken care of. And, you know, they didn't want to leave. They had friends and they were in school. So she's made it adamant that even though she never went back for them, they're being fully taken care of. And I'm going to assume with all this money flowing with Jasmine, she's taking good care of these kids. If you can't be there, the next best thing would make sure that they have everything that they need. I mean, kids need their mother. But if you can't be there or you don't want to be there, the next best thing that you should do is make sure they have everything they need.
Exactly. But like you said, kids need their mom.
Well,
Like
yeah,
it's
they
not their
don't need.
grandmother, but it's their mom who's gonna like they're I think all these kids are gonna need psychological help later along the lines because they
Yeah.
don't have a proper mother figure. Like who's Larissa's kids with? Who like the new one, Clayton can't stand this Mina chick. Another story for another day. Like just so many like they're gonna have like abandonment issues if they don't already. Like, oh yeah, my mom left me to be on TV to the United States.
Well, the parents have decided fame is the most important thing in their lives, right? Like Jasmine obviously was a mother first and then a wife, but now she's kind of put reality TV over everything. We're all suffering from Stockholm syndrome, not being able to stop watching. Yeah, there's a lot of shows that I don't want to watch, like the spinoffs. I'm a big fan of the franchise, but there are favorites and there are non-favorites of the show. So yeah, there are times where I wish I could just skip a show, but you know, it would feel weird. I've watched everything. Okay, minus Lauren and Alexi. I watched like 2 episodes of their first season and I gave up. I
It was
couldn't do it.
COVID. I was bored. I watched it. There was nothing
I
else
could
to do.
I couldn't do it. I tried. I gave it a college try, Gina. I really did. I'm just not a fan of Lauren or Alexi. They're just boring. They're probably really nice, probably not, but they're
No.
probably decent people, or whatever. But there's no drama. She's a good mom for the most part. He's a good dad. There's no drama. I can't deal with that. And then the last time we saw her with her plastic surgery and her mommy makeover, I just can't with
You
her.
need
Like I
popcorn.
can't.
Go with your drama. You don't want to see anybody who's like happy basically on your TV. You need to throw
Oh,
in some drama.
Coast Coast teacher says so she can return the gifts for money. I mean, I don't think she
No,
needs money. I don't think she
no,
needs, like, for real. I don't think she needs money. I think she really is gonna take the gifts and use it. I
no.
think that she just doesn't want to buy it herself, which I
Right.
don't know why. She has so
I
much money.
I think it would go if she was to return anything, it'd be back on an Amazon gift card. Because if someone else, for instance, was purchasing something on a baby registry, then and there is a gift receipt included, it would probably likely be on a gift card because the person who originally had purchased it with their bank card or credit card. So
Oh,
usually a
so you
refund's on the
can't
same
get.
time, like it's the same, like it's on the same card,
Oh,
but in
so
this case it's gift registry.
that happened before. I had someone that had purchased a gift for a birthday present. The person took it back to the store. They didn't, hey, Miss Karen, they didn't notify the person who bought the gift, and the store returned the money back to the person's credit card. They
Exactly.
didn't actually give them anything for it because they thought they were going to just return it and get whatever they wanted. The store returned it to the original method of
Amen.
payment and they actually didn't get any money.
Yeah.
So yeah, the stores are a little smarter now than they used to be because you know they have to protect themselves for these return scams that
Exactly.
people are doing.
So, which, yeah, it happens. But love discussing all this stuff with you guys, but we've only touched base on Jasmine and that big blow up. I don't think we talked about anybody else or touched base on anybody
Well,
else.
we're gonna talk about Darcy and Stacy because Stacy thinks that Darcy wants to sleep with Florian, which I think is completely ludicrous, right? Like I really deal with Darcy and Stacy in my own way because everything that they say is for shock value.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when Stacy is like, "Oh well, I can't deal with Darcy," and Darcy is this, and it's like it's all for shock value. You know that they get along, you know that they live together, you know that they spend every moment together, you know that there's no real issues. They're happy,
Well,
right? Darcy and
made a
Stacy.
big production out of nothing, basically, like at the dinner. Now she's waking up with a hangover. Well, gee, I wonder why. You acted like a child. versus talking amongst civilized people, like normally, confronting the situation. Maybe then and there was not the right time and the place in front of everybody. Talk about
But
your problem sober,
that's
separately.
what they do. Darcy and
Exactly.
Stacy are the queens of doing whatever. You know when they say there's a time and place for everything, they want to do everything at the wrong time and at the wrong place. That's kind of how they got their own show. They react to everything in the worst possible way, and they do it at the worst possible time. And it's like you're driving on the freeway, there's a really bad wreck, and it's bad, and you want to look at the ground, and there might be a body on the ground, but you want to look. That's kind of how Darcy and Stacy. You shouldn't look because it's going to give you nightmares, but you keep watching because you think, oh, well, there's probably something over there. I should look, but you don't. That's kind of how Darcy and Stacy scenes have been. Oh, yeah, so Ari and Benny. So Ari and Benny have called it quits, and they've left the resort. So how'd you feel about that? We already knew that they weren't together. We knew that there was no real reconciliation happening. We know that Benny has been kissing some pretty girl on TikTok. So do you feel like this should have happened earlier in the season? Because I feel like they should have left a long time ago.
They should have left after. She should have left after the first episode. Benny can stay, but
Well,
he needed to get his password. So you know what they say. Bye, Felicia, and that was literally what Benny did. Bye, Felicia.
oh, she said, was Darcy this ridiculous with season with Jesse? Probably worse. Darcy has always been Darcy. She's never really gotten worse or better. She's always been over the top. I think her season with Jesse is when they were the cutting the steak, right?
Yep.
That was her season with Jesse. Yeah.
Cutting
So
it
yeah,
on a vine or whatnot.
they literally fought, and she threw a stiletto heel at him because he told her how to cut the steak. Do you remember that?
I remember that. I'm like,
yeah,
are you seriously fighting over how to cut a steak?
not just fighting. She tried to knock him unconscious with a heel. She literally got violent because he told her how to cut the steak, and she was like, I'm older than you. I know how to cut a steak.
No,
and they literally
I've worked at many restaurants before. That's not how you cut a steak.
Oh, is that what? Oh, she's worked at many restaurants. That's interesting. I didn't know Darcy worked anywhere. That's
I was
news.
a server at here and here. It was something along those lines. When it,
she went to Amsterdam. Yeah. She went to Amsterdam, and then he came here to meet the kids.
Yeah.
And then that's when it all fell apart. That's when they started screaming, and she started throwing stuff at him. And with her and Tom, it was pretty bad too. If you remember, with her and Tom, it got pretty bad.
I remember he couldn't tolerate her. I don't think he can tolerate the craziness. That was the problem.
Well, you know what's funny? People don't say this out loud a lot, but Darcy is probably in the same level of crazy as Natalie, but people don't really talk about it, right? Like Darcy and Natalie, they have a lot in common. They ruin and sabotage their relationships. They sabotage themselves. They make things crazy and out of control and over proportion. They are very similar, but Natalie seems to get the worst of being called crazy, and Darcy gets the less of it.
I think it's just because we've seen like when did the Darcy and Stacey show ended? Whenever it ended, and then they had to do the filler to make the equal crazy, so they added Natalie to it. But then, like I think Natalie's on a different level altogether from Stacey. Like with Natalie, she's just like she's just like Josh uses her, she uses Josh, and like, but she wants more, but he doesn't. And hallelujah, he's sleeping in like separate rooms because guess what? I would be afraid if that woman would have a knife underneath her bed and try to kill me.
Oh, Stacey woke up with a hangover, and she said something on TV that a lot of people online didn't like. She said that she had to take a DUMP, and a lot of people felt like that was very unladylike to say on TV. Like, we can be real.
Well, like I didn't even care.
You know, men are under the impression women don't do that. So when women say things like that, men are caught off guard. Because a lot of people are like, she's not classy, or that's not ladylike. And I was like, we got to stop pretending that everybody doesn't go to the bathroom.
Exactly.
You know, like, we got to stop.
She wanted an empanada. And she wanted an empanada and hangover food.
In the morning, right? Who does that? Who eats empanadas at 8 in the morning? I was like, how is that going to work out for you for the rest of the day? Well, Natalie turned psycho Darcy is just super dramatic. Oh, so
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
there's a fine line.
yeah.
But Darcy did launch a shoe at that man's head. Do y'all remember she did launch a shoe at that man's head?
I think they act kind of crazy when they have a lot of alcohol in their system. I think it's like when they're intoxicated. That's when they kind of the switch goes off to psycho.
Yeah. Well, okay. Votamom says Darcy looked uncomfortable after Josh left the cycles. Well, Darcy was having a weird conversation with Rob, and it's funny because she was telling him about her vagina rejuvenation, and then afterwards she's like, "What's your name again?" And I was like, "So you're talking about all this personal stuff, and you don't even know this person's name?" It's
Yeah,
like,
but Rob the Knob, he thought he was talking to Darcy, or he thought he was talking to
the
Stacy.
Stacy. Yeah, because
and then he realized, like, oh shit, it's not Stacy.
He decided to skip dinner the night before.
Yeah.
When Stacy arrived, or when Darcy arrived, and nobody filled him in. So he goes to get on the treadmill, and he's looking at her like it's Stacy, which it looks like Stacy. I'm not gonna.
They're twins, right?
And then, but the one thing that's easy to tell Stacy and Darcy apart is their voices are different.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I learned to tell them apart early on. Was Stacy's voice is different than Darcy's. In the beginning they looked much more like. Now there's some anomalies. There's some
I can kind of see the difference between Stacy and Darcy, like the face, like some of their face, like their facial expressions and some of the faces. So even right off the bat, I can tell that like we knew it was Darcy.
Yeah, but for
even
Rob,
if we didn't know her. Yeah.
Rob probably has less experience with the show. He's too young, I think. But wait, I was gonna say Stacy has a stank face. I don't know if you noticed that, but she always looks like stank. And Darcy has less of a stank face.
Yeah,
that's also
I think that's the expression that I was like.
Yeah, it's like
one looks like a chipmunk and the other one less of a chipmunk.
Yeah, does Stacy cry on demand like Darcy? Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
They do. She didn't do much of it this season. I think her emotional moment was when she was telling Florian to take the pain or something. Remember when they were in the woods and she started freaking out and Florian was like, "What the hell is wrong with you? Why are you acting like that?" That was her emotional moment. Also, seeing twins separately, it's harder to tell them apart. You're right. When they're right next to each other, you can see the tells. But when you see them separately, I went to school with a set of twins, and it's true. When they were with each other, I knew exactly which girl was which. But when we were, like, I had classes with one and not the other, sometimes I couldn't tell which one it was. So you're right. When they're standing next to each other, it's a lot easier to tell who you're talking to. And, you know, when you see people on TV, I learned their voice thing. Because I was like, oh, I can tell. Like, if I look away from the TV and just listen, I could tell which twin it was. Just how they talk.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get too much of Natalie and Josh other than on the exercise bike. So
Josh said that he's about ready to give up. That was what he said on this episode. And I fully support that. I would love to stop seeing Natalie on my TV screen. So feel free to give up.
Another season. It's going to be the single life next. Yes, you watch. She's going to be on the single life again.
So Pineapple says, I can't watch it anymore. I only listen to y'all. And of course, I want to watch the tell-all because I want to see Jasmine throw her shoe. How did you know it was her that threw the shoe? I'm just curious because I never said that. So I'm just really curious how you knew it was her.
Yeah, this is news to me because I didn't know anything about a shoe.
I knew that shoes were thrown, but I never said who threw a shoe.
Shoes were thrown or something was thrown.
So I'm just curious if Pineapple just felt like she was the most likely person to throw a shoe, because I didn't say that, because I knew not to say that. I know what happened, but I can't say exactly what happened. So
thanks, she'll DM you. So
she said it wasn't me.
Basically, George, you're not denying that Jasmine threw the shoe.
I'm not confirming or denying. I'm just curious because there are other people on the show.
You said to Pineapple, how did you know she threw the shoe?
Yeah, I'm curious now because apparently I'm not the only one that knows what happened.
Apparently.
So
thanks, Pineapple, for the tea.
Well, I knew, but I didn't want to say who threw what at who because that would give away my sources. But if you already know, then yes, a shoe. I'm not gonna tell you who she threw the shoe at. You can guess. You might be wrong though because there's obvious guess, and it's not the obvious guess. The shoe went towards someone else, so I'm not gonna say who it was. Oh, she saw it on Reddit. Okay, cool.
Okay.
It wasn't me. I just want everybody to know it wasn't me who said it. Because I was instructed not to say anything yet. So I just want to make it clear that I didn't say that. But when I saw you post it, I was like, how did you know? You know, like, how did you know? 'Cause I know I didn't
You
say
could tell
it.
by your facial I knew from your facial expression. I'm like, oh. Yeah,
And
Pineapple, you share that. You DM me and you share that tea with me too, please.
and
Thank you.
Pineapple, yeah, she knows exactly what's going on. She knows exactly who got hit with the shoe and everything. Yeah, okay, yeah, you know. Now that she knows. So yeah, it's in the comments. I'm not gonna say it. It's in the comments if you want to know. So now we know who launched the shoe and who was on the receiving end. But that's not even the craziest thing I heard about the tell-all though. So that's why I'm telling people if you're bored now, you know, take a break, take a nap. You will be thoroughly entertained at this tell-all. Jasmine threw at Sophie and hit.
Hit raw.
Oh, y'all were there. Were y'all in the audience? Like y'all were there. Jeez, y'all were there. I didn't like y'all know more than I do at this point. Hey Danielle,
well,
happy birthday.
No kidding. Your birthday. Why aren't you people sharing this stuff? I see she threw the shoe at Sophie. Yeah, to shut her up.
Mean, we're not gonna give too much away. I feel like y'all already know. Hey Danielle, happy birthday. Miss you. You know I'll DM me. Tell me how you got this information. I'm just curious because
group chat. Oh God.
Yeah, because I'm curious how you knew because I thought I was the only one who knew. And I told a few people privately that have not said anything. So when I saw it in the comments, I was like, is there a mole in my clique? You know, I was like, how do you know that? Were you in the studio audience? Like I had questions. I was like, because that's not something everyone knew. And they're trying to keep that part a secret because for the promo of the tell-all, that's what they're going to use. So they don't want it to get out. They want.
Yeah, no, you kept it very secretive.
I mean, I tried to say
stuff was thrown, and you never said who, what, when, where, why. You never acknowledged. You just said stuff was thrown. That was it.
I didn't even specify what the item was. I just said things were thrown. So when I saw, I was like, y'all know something more. You got it from somebody other than me. Oh, so Dr. Reba is in an open
relationship.
But she called it
situationship. We'll call it a situationship.
So the doctor's in a situationship. How do you feel about a counselor who is in a situationship like that? Because they're giving advice to you on how to successfully navigate your relationship, and their husband is actually out banging other people. So like, how does that make you feel? Because it does work for some people. Like we've had this conversation. Some people are fine with a non-monogamous relationship. Most people are not fine. So how do you feel with your counselor who's giving you advice on how to best move in the best interest of your relationship? They're actually in a non-monogamous situationship. Because I don't know. I felt that
it's a camp counselor. If she didn't, basically, if Jasmine didn't talk to her about having the open relationship, I don't think she would bring it up, right? Because that would just be encouraging the situation altogether, like the Jasmine, Gino, Matt situation altogether, right? So basically, Jasmine just took it as being like, this, like there's other people that are on the same boat as me. I'll take it.
It's funny that she got there. She heard the term, okay, an ethical non-monogamous marriage. That's what she called it. I'd never heard that terminology before. You know, I watched all.
Heard that either. That's why I couldn't remember exactly. That's why I called it a situationship.
I mean, if you're a marriage counselor, like your specialty is helping people that are married.
I thought she was the sex therapist.
Well, she's the sex therapist, but there was a counselor next to her, wasn't there, in that scene, or no? Or was it just her? I don't know. I feel like if you're counseling married people, you shouldn't encourage them to be in a ethical non-monogamous marriage, because if your marriage is already in trouble, if you're in counseling already, bringing another person into a failing marriage is not the answer.
No.
I think
That's not going to spice it up.
That's the worst of advice that you can give someone. They're like, oh, y'all don't get along, you're not being intimate, you fight all the time, you should get a boyfriend. Like, that's not going to improve anything going on in your situation. So I think as a therapist, it's a weird thing that she would suggest, like, oh yeah, I do it, it works, you should try it. No.
But I
like,
think this therapist also said at the same time, what works for me does not work for others. And basically, there's different rules, I guess, whatever it's called. I keep calling it a situationship because it's so much like it's shorter than this non-whatever. But in that case, like there's different rules for different open relationships or situationships.
Well, right. It's not people go out and sleep with whoever they want. There are rules. Like, for instance, in certain situations, they can only be with one additional person. It's not just anybody they want. They can be in another relationship with just one person. And then if that relationship ends, then the next person needs to be approved. Exactly. Oh, yeah. Pineapple. I did know about the Neo situation. I was watching one of the Love and Hip Hop type shows, and I found out that Neo was in a polyamorous relationship. And it blew up in his face, because you remember the video that one of the women posted to, I think, Instagram, or was an Instagram live, where she called him out for having all these different women and cheating. Because at the end of the day, when you take vows, the vows are between you and the other person. So if you're bringing an additional person into that relationship, it's cheating to an extent. Even if, you know, you're in an open relationship, there's no vow that covers open relationship. It's till death do us part, just you and me, not you, me, and three. It's just you and me. So to the point where Gino's like, that's just called cheating. You know, it's a fancy term for cheating. That's all it is.
It is. It is. And it's so funny because, like, I'm not religious at all, but, like, and I didn't study the Bible, but there's so many people in the Bible that have more than one wife. They also have concubines and different wives, more than one. And then in today's society, and it's not even like, but then commandment, it says you shall not commit adultery. But then at the same time you are, because you have a wife, you have a concubine, and you have a whole bunch of concubines. So whatever. But anyways.
One thing that I learned about the Bible, I grew up in a church, like a cult like churches, it's a very contradictory book. It's very contradicting. It says one thing and then it says something completely different later on. And that's why the misinterpretations of the Bible are so great. Because in the Old Testament versus the New Testament, they'll tell you something is wrong in the Old Testament and then it's totally fine in the New Testament, and vice versa. It's very confusing. And it's you have to remember as well, it's been translated hundreds of times.
And it changed, you know, to what religion you are.
Yes. Basically. There's a King James version, there's a new language version, there's a Hebrew version, there's all of these different translations. And I think the best way to do that is remember when we were in middle school and we did the project where the teacher would get you, say for instance, they would tell you a statement and then you would go and whisper it in one person's ear and they would keep going and going and going.
Telephone.
Telephone. And by the time you get to the last person, what you said to the first person and what they say at the end are completely different things. I think that's exactly how the Bible ended up.
Yep.
Right.
And I think got like Charles said, like stuff got left out. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, and also Shake is like, y'all should just stay single. I agree. If you want to be free, getting married is counterproductive to your goal. You're like getting married and then dating other people. It's counterproductive. I know in the what was it, Seeking Sister Wife or Seeking Brother Husband show or whatever show it was, they were combining income and a lot of them were doing really well. Because, you know, if you got 4 or 5 people all working good jobs and everybody's contributing to one household, you can buy a big house, you can go on trips, you know, you can live a really good life. But at the end of the day, I don't think everyone can be 100% happy in these type of relationships. Because first, especially the women, they're just sharing one guy.
Yeah, no thanks.
The guy is, right? The guy has all these women, all this variety, all of these things happening for him. The women have to sleep alone so many nights because he has to spend time with everybody else. So
Yeah,
how are you truly
the
going to
man's
be happy?
got his box of chocolates, his chocolate cake, his wine, his everything. All these other like feel neglected. Like absolutely not. But
It's not going to work for everybody. And women, what does it say? It's too much work to cheat. It really
it
is. Cheating,
is,
because you do it and then you got to lie and hide it and counteract people figuring out it's a full-time job to be a cheater.
and you got to make sure you don't cross like lies. Like oh, it's just so much work.
And
Not that I've ever done it. It just seems like too much work because you can see them get caught and like. My favorite show is Cheaters, by the way. One of them, if you've ever watched it,
watch
very yeah.
it. That was literally, I've probably seen every episode 10 times. I've from
Yes.
Joey Greco
Yes.
to that was the first one, and then the
Oh,
second host was what was his name? He recently passed away a few years ago. He had a really famous grandfather.
yeah, I know who you're talking
Yeah, I
about.
can't remember his name now.
And I'm so mad it's not on at 3 o'clock in the morning anymore on the
It
weekends.
used to, yeah, it used to stream late at night, and you could still watch it on syndication. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it lately. I even okay, let's age me a little bit. I bought the DVDs, the Too Hot for TV Cheaters DVDs. That's how much I love the show. Hold on, I'm gonna figure out the guy's name. It's gonna bother me now. The one that took over after Joey. He wasn't as
Speaking of
good, but
those,
though he wasn't as good. But oh, Clark
no.
Gable.
Yes, thank
Clark
you.
Gable. He took over after Joey Greco. Do you remember? Oh my God, do you remember when Joey Greco, they were on a boat and they confronted someone and someone stabbed him? Do you
Dude,
remember?
it was like violent. It was like
They
a whole other
stabbed
level
him.
of Jerry Springer altogether.
And
Why would you put
was
yourself
the
in
first
jeopardy?
that was the first show where some dude literally sucker punched a woman in the face on TV.
Oh,
Do you remember that
whoa,
episode? They
I
were in
saw.
the they were in the truck
They're in the
and he
truck. I
approached them
remember. I
and she
remember.
got out and she's like screaming at him and he literally knocked her out.
I
And
remember.
he left in handcuffs. You remember? It was that
Yes.
show was insane. It was so good. Oh, you have Golden Girls series? I do too.
Oh,
Golden Girls, I have Friends.
I think that was.
Um
Oh, that's on a streaming network here that we can watch Golden Girls and Friends and
oh,
yeah. Oh my God.
the OC. Y'all remember the OC? Y'all remember One Tree Hill?
Yes. Oh,
Those were
my
the best
favorite show of
shows.
all time was 90210 Beverly Hills 90210, the original. I would watch it with my mom, even though I was like 8 years
I
old, 9 years old.
watched
It was
the old
probably not
one.
age appropriate for me, but my mom wanted to watch it, so I watched it.
Oh, you never saw that pineapple? Yeah, the stabbing of the punch. Pineapple. You gotta go. Those were the most iconic moments on the show.
Yes.
When they were on a boat. They confronted the cheater on the boat. The guy started like trying to fight him, and he had a knife that they didn't see. He stabbed Joy, like literally. He left on a stretcher. Like the show was just insane. And yeah, the punch. The guy he was arrested on the show. I have the Star Wars collection. Oh, Miss Karen. That's the Star Wars movie. Don't even get me started. I will sit and watch Star Wars for 6 hours straight.
Oh
Like
my
I am
God,
so
okay.
upset. Then I go to Disney and go to Star Wars Land, and it's like I'm in it. It's like I'm in it. Yeah, Luke Perry. Yeah, I watched Saved by the Bell, Saved by the Bell, and then the
Oh,
relaunch
Saved by
of
the
Saved by the
Bell,
Bell.
California Dreams. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I really am aging myself. And tomorrow I'm gonna age myself even more because they're doing this boy band symphony. You'll never guess who's on it. It's Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC, Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees, and one of the guy Eric Estrada from
O-Town.
O-Town.
I'm a fan of O-Town. They were my favorite band back in the day.
I will be seeing them tomorrow. So yay!
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
That should be fun. All right, guys.
All
Yeah,
right.
Saved by the Bell. And Pineapple, they relaunched Saved by the Bell like on Peacock. It didn't last long, but that was kind of good too. It was all new people with a few old casts, but it was like a rerun. It only lasted like a month or a season, maybe two, but it was on Peacock. Who is Father Clark Gable? Well, his grandfather, I think, was the star of like Gone with the Wind, wasn't he? Or was it his great grandfather?
Maybe it was his great grandfather because I think Ground with the Wind was 1920s, 1930s.
Okay, yeah. So his great grandfather was the great Clark Gable, and then his father was also Clark Gable, but not the really famous one, just his son. And then his son was the Clark Gable who hosted Cheaters. See how boring this show is? Now we're talking about cheaters. Okay, so we're gonna come.
We're going off topic.
We're
different. Like we
gonna
beat
come back.
ourselves.
We're gonna end this because we're not even talking about Last Resort anymore. I forgot. So,
Sorry, guys.
I know I'm sad about Screech too. The Luke Perry, Screech, and then Shannon Doherty. All of these iconic people have left this world, and it's unbelievable to conceive that they're not here.
Bob Saget.
Oh yeah, Bob Saget. He passed not too far. He was at the Ritz-Carlton right over here by my house.
Yeah.
So whenever I drive by, I think about it because I was like, oh my God, he was literally here, the last place he was ever at. So, the host, Clark Gable, was the host of Cheaters. I think the last airing of it, that was what he was the host of. Because when he passed away, I think that's when they stopped filming, if I'm not mistaken. They just stopped filming after that. Oh, Roberta Flack. Yeah, that happened just today. All right, guys, we're gonna come back Sunday. Oh yeah, Fuller House was good too. We're gonna come back Sunday for episode 3 of OG 90 Day Fiance. I think the throuple will be back, but I was watching the previews and I don't remember if I saw them. No, but we're gonna come
previews. They're coming back.
Okay, good. But they'll be back soon. So everybody have a wonderful night. Have a good
night, guys. Sorry to go off topic.
Make sure you're following Gina. I'm going to tag her in this video. Follow me on all social media platforms at George Mossey, georgemossey.com. Anywhere you get your podcast, type in The George Mossey Show. Thanks for staying up with us. Everybody have a good night. Good night, guys. Bye.
Bye.